Hello, my name is Mir Ali, and today I'm going to be talking about the criminalization of sexual transmitted diseases, or STDs. Sexual transmitted diseases are one of the most difficult challenges in public health. Sex related health problems are often inspired policies that arise from moral judgment rather than from scientific evidence. For example, in Canada, a decision made by the Supreme Court in 1998 in regards to STDs displayed there has been more than 120 prosecutions in regards to STDs. In USA, there are many state laws which have different criminal transmission, including both HIV as well as other communicable or contagious STDs. Some state laws list the individual diseases covered by name, while others use any type of communicable or STDs. Sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs, are known as venereal diseases. STD are transferred between people primarily as a result of sexual contact. Some of these diseases can be treated or cured, while others, such as human immunodeficiency virus or HIV, are not curable and can lead to death. Sexually transmitted diseases represent a particular class of communicable disease which is largely preventable. Communicable diseases. According to globalhealth.gov, communicable diseases spread from one person to another or from an animal to a person. This spread often happens through airborne or viruses or usually through bacteria. The terms infectious and contagious are also used to describe communicable diseases. Some example of communicable diseases would be HIV/AIDS, STDs, rabies, flu, polio, influenza, hepatitis, and there's some other diseases as well. So I found a case in our readings in regards to this presentation topics in regards to STDs, and this regulation is known as Specification of Communicable Diseases Regulation. So this regulation is under the Health Protection and Promotion Act, and it was created in March 25th, 2003. It was created to specify SARS as a virulent disease. There are mandatory reporting obligations for physicians in regards to this regulation. For example, a physician must report to the medical officer based on their opinion if the patient in which they are treating may be infected with STDs or a communicable disease while treating the patient. These are some of the diseases that are covered under this regulation: AIDS, chloria, botulism, and also there are various other more diseases as well. So I found a case in our readings, and this case I felt was important to this presentation topic, and this case was R versus uh, Mabror. This case originated in British Columbia in 1992, and it made its way up to the Supreme Court of Canada. In 1998, the court ruled that a person living with HIV could be found guilty of aggravated assault if he or she did not disclose his or her HIV positive status. Mybor was charged with 9 counts of aggravated sexual assault based on his failure to disclose his HIV positive status. The trial judge convicted him on 6 of the counts on the basis that sexual intercourse using a condom when viral loads are undetectable does not place a sexual partner at serious bodily harm required by the Courier test. The Courier test has two parts. The first part is a dishonest act, either falsehood or failure to disclose HIV status, and the second part would be uh, dep- deprivation. Since this test has been used, there has been many trends. Um, in the topic of the criminalization of STDs. There has been an increase in incidents of prosecution. There has been an increase in the frequency of prosecutions for alleged non-disclosed HIV positive status to a sexual partner, and there also has been an escalation of charges. So, increasing number of defendants are facing charges of aggravated sexual assault. The criminalization of STDs had reached a new pitch in 2008, according to AIDS law. In 2008, uh, another there's like this is like a different case. So what had happened was in 2008, Johnson Aga was accused of having sex with 11 women without disclosing his HIV positive status. Two other women he had he had been in a relationship. They had died. So he was convicted of 2 counts of first degree murder and 10 counts of aggravated assault for not disclosing his STD information towards his partners. So while I was doing my research in regards to this presentation topic, I came across an interesting law that has been introduced by Dr. Leah Alston in the state of Arizona, which is in USA. So I thought that discussing this Arizona law uh, was very important um, towards my topic. So what this law basically states is that Arizona law does not specifically criminalize transmitting sexually transmitted diseases, but the law applies to any situation where someone with a sexually transmitted diseases expose exposes someone else to it. So, as I already said, Dr. Leah Alston, she basically was the one who introduced the bill into the Arizona House of Rep- Representatives. Alston bill Allison's bill can allow the state to press charges against people who have the following STDs: HIV, carcinoid, and chlamydia, and other diseases as well. Also, this Arizona law makes it a mis- misdemeanor offense for people infected with a contagious disease. It's a misdemeanor offense because a person can knowingly expose an STD disease to anyone in a public space. This law is quite broad and applies to anyone with any type of infectious diseases and not just those with STDs. Consent. Many US states have laws that allow for people with an STD to knowingly engage in sexual contact without fear of prosecution if they tell the other person about the presence of the disease. As long as the other person consents to the relationship, the person with the STD is not guilty of criminal transmission, even if the other person is eventually infected. However, there are some laws in other states of the US, such as Arizona, which I discussed in the previous slides, which don't allow for the informed consent exception, and it's possible to be convicted of criminal transmission of an STD in these states, even when the other person knows of the presence of the disease and consents to the sexual contact. Penalties on criminalization of STDs. According to the website criminaldefenselawyer.com, if you are convicted of transmitting an STD, you can serve a serious criminal penalty, and these are some of the examples. Number one, you could go to jail. So, conviction for transmission of an STD can result in a sentence of up to 1 year in jail. You can also be charged by fines. You can be fined if you're convicted of either a felony. Misdemeanor fines are typically up to $1,000, but felony fines can go high as $50,000. Again, number three, you can be in probation. So, courts can sentence someone convicted of unlawful transmission of an STD to a prohibition term. So, since we're all caught up with all the advantages for the criminalization of STDs, um, I took into myself to discuss some of the disadvantages that criminalization of STDs can have on anyone, like on a person. So what I found was um, it would be unfair for people to go through all the legalization process to getting them convicted of the for the charges or for the penalties for the STD that they have. It could also discourage other forms of sexual responsibility. And finally, criminalization laws, they fail to accurately reflect many of the human realities around STD testing and diagnosis.